Okay, this third video, this third thing I've been thinking about, is kind of personal. And I sort of made a fool of myself in this little area. Okay, right. I play an open source game. It's a first-person shooter, so like Quake. It's a high-speed first-person shooter, entirely open source. Right. Now, I generally do not like to take admin privileges where I'm responsible for other people. On my own computers, I need admin privileges. I've had many, passwords to many privileged accounts, and I use it all the time, to get my software to work and check it out and troubleshoot and things like that. But a problem with being an admin is it leads to a sort of corruption, and I guess I sort of experienced that a little bit. Though it's not all my fault. I think I'm being a little bit hard on myself, but I prefer to for this reason. So since this is an open source game, there's no people hired to police the servers. One of the main problems you have is people that come in and they team kill. You can wound people there's team games in here, and you can wound people on your own team. But you're not supposed to do it intentionally. And sometimes there's people in there being pricks, ruining the game, standing at the base, collecting their weapons and blowing up their own teammates. Ruins the game. Games are 15 minutes at a time, but somebody's basically just ruined somebody else is trying to have some fun. Okay, a little bit of cathartic spatial enjoyment there. Generally, I don't kick people for cheating, though I have started more. There's speed hacks where people are moving too fast, and you can tell. And people know that I have this auth authority. Sometimes they ask me to. And I really hate doing that because even for TK, I have to stop playing the game and check out what's going on so that I don't just become some sort of fascist asshole that doesn't really have the facts. And what would tend to make that happen is, I'm just going in there for 15 minutes of catharsis. I'm not in there to spectate on someone else and watch what they're doing. But cheating even more so, because it can be very difficult. So I saw this guy was very good, and but I watched him and I saw, well, he is very good. I could see how he's running around and stuff, that he really is that good. So the fact that it looks like he's killing me with fewer bullets than it normally takes would just be him being a better shot. There's plenty of people better than me, so that I couldn't say. But I saw him do a jump. If you know these games, you can do these weapon jumps, right, where you use a rocket or something else. These things have recoil, and if they blow up, they have some sort of, whatever you want to call it, some sort of concussion force. They throw you in the other direction. So you can fire a grenade right downward, and it'll blow up and blow way up in the air, and you can do jumps that otherwise you couldn't do. And I saw him do one that I thought was just way further than was possible. So I kind of started haranguing this guy for a couple days, and I was asking him, and I kicked him once, and I tried to kick him again, and it said his user privilege, his user rating was too high. I couldn't kick him off the server and stuff. Finally, I went into one of the main servers, one of the main organizations here, and they run a Mumble server and other things, and very central to this game's culture. And I asked him if anybody knew this user. Well, it turned out it was another user who's an admin that I knew, and he took and showed me. And I was still a little skeptical, so I went to a server of a group of people that I know that play the game. We have a server, a couple servers. And I went there and started doing it, and sure enough, it was quite possible to do what he'd been doing. So I was what you call a noob. I just didn't know. And it's funny because to me the emotions, it's a very it's a simulated experience. And yet it's like, since it's open source and it's community policed, it's a little bit like a militia-based thing, and it might be not quite vigilante because you do have the authority, and you're supposed to use your discretion, and there's rules what you should kick for and things like this, and that you should give warnings and all these rules. But in the end, without the top authority, you are put a little bit in the position of a vigilante, deciding, what is enough evidence. And, to my credit, the guy wasn't really I wasn't kicking him right away. I was just saying, how can you jump that high, this and that and the other thing, give me a hint as to how it works. I have some sympathy. I have to figure out who's cheating. It's part of my responsibility. I want to do it responsibly. And he wasn't really telling me until I went into the IRC server where his group was, and he admitted. And it wasn't just a player I knew, but it's someone fundamental to some of the development, open source development. In other words, he's really well known. very little reason to cheat. In fact, was not cheating. So, now I feel like I shouldn't even kick team killers for a week or something. I feel like penalizing myself, making sure I come right back down to earth, and I don't have sort of the vigilante's curse of you feel a responsibility. So I was given this, and when I was first given it, it was like, okay, finally, because I've seen so many games ruined, and now I can just take those people out. But then I start to realize, well, anybody ruining the game, they're looking for the community policeman to be responsible, which means I have to stop playing, and it's work. But not everybody can have auth, so those people that do need to do it, and so you feel a responsibility. But that responsibility itself can lead to a misapplication of the privileges that are associated with the responsibility. So the guy was really understanding, and it's a big joke. I put my foot in my mouth. I was a noob, because often, like, people, well, not often, but many times, people in there thought I was cheating, and it was just, no, I'm a better player at this game than you are, So I got in this side of having the same kind of thing, and I wanted to ignore it, but I saw something I thought was impossible in the game physics. The game doesn't have a lot of hacking protection built in because it's open source, and instead it's community policed. So anyway, this is about the most wrong end of a stick that I've noticed that I've gotten on anything in quite a while. And it was from a mixture of responsibility and a lack of knowledge, which I think is typical and is a lesson for how this stuff works in the real world, outside of things that ultimately don't matter. So I figure I'd share it, and also because when I make a big mistake, I do think it over a lot. And I make sure that I don't do it from a framework of trying to get out of responsibility or look at the parts where, to my own credit, but really look at the parts that led to the indefensible part. Now, my behavior was pretty defensible, but it's still pieced up into me being mistaken. And I spectated this guy a lot more than I ever have anybody else. And and in the end, not only that, but it was someone I knew who could have said, hey, this is so-and-so. And I would have known that person was really good, and I would have gone, wow, I didn't know that you could jump like that. But this person was using an alias, so there was also my own little invocation of associational logic, is that people that good in this game, you recognize their name. Now, maybe they're using an alias, but you recognize their name because, if you've spent that long in the game to be good, you're kind of recognizable. So if I saw somebody that I recognized doing something I thought was impossible, someone that I also knew or felt to be trustworthy, then I would have a different reaction. And that's the funny thing. I had tried to do jumps that this guy was doing before and failed and decided it was impossible. As soon as I found out who it was and he went and showed me again, I did it. I went to a server I knew he had no control of, just in case this was an admin, playing with his own little admin powers there. And I tried it there and was able to do it. And it was funny because knowing it was possible, knowing that that somebody quite reliable and that I knew was very skilled at the game could do it, freed up my own experimentation, where I'd done a bunch of experiments, but I had, tunnel vision against trying certain things, I guess, that then when I realized I had to see how it was done, if it was possible, it must be possible, within a couple minutes I was able to do this jump, and now I can do it, just about every time I want to. So yeah, things you can learn online, much better than learning them in the real world, where maybe somebody's dead or in jail or their reputation is ruined. All right, cheers.